Hello, 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 and welcome. Thank you for being here today. Evolve University, and this is Love Therapies. And I'm back, y'all. I haven't been on the mic in a long time, but I have with me Mr. T.W. Dawson. And today, you saw the thumbnail and what the topic is about. And it is, should men pay all the bills or go 50-50? My husband was on a podcast. I actually happened to see a post that said, you know, looking for high level thinkers to expound and talk about this topic. So, me just being who I am and liking the education that we do in this group, sent it to him thinking, because I know his views are usually unorthodox, as are mine's. And we're proud of that. And sent it to him. He went on a podcast and, I felt personally that his thoughts weren't allowed to be expounded upon. That was just my opinion. So I love this topic. I think that this topic is something that men and women need to hear. I think that it is something that has caused a great divide in the relationships between men and women. A lot of relationships are out here failing because we don't understand basic principles as it relates to relationships 50-50, 100-100, masculine and feminine dynamic. And I think because of a lack of knowledge, there are a lot of relationships just out here failing. So after the podcast, and I realized that his thoughts were not brought to fruition, I suggested, hey, why don't you and I sit down and actually talk like we always talk? Our thing is about education and motivation and inspiration. It is not about arguing a point. You like it, we love it. We're only here to help. So, with that being said, I thank you guys all for being here. And I just want to bring on and introduce my husband, T.W. Dawson. Thank you so much for coming because I appreciate this.
Oh yeah,
I really wanted it to get out.
it's not a problem. Not a problem. Let me just address what my experience was with the last time I talked about this. Like she said, it was brought to me. Young man had a new podcast, and I felt like, hey, look, this would be a good idea to just jump on his podcast,
For sure.
possibly help him out, get some opposing thoughts, because I know that most people don't think like I do when it comes to
Right.
that. So
Definitely.
it was pretty much set up to be opposing. I understood that going in, but I
Mm,
did think it was going to be more informative, information wise, more dialogue based versus kind of like the I don't know, like a challenge type thing.
yeah.
I thought it would be more of that, so I didn't really go into. I went into it with good faith, being thinking that I knew that my points were going to be opposed, but
Hmm.
not to that degree. And so, like she said, we felt that it was better to kind of like just let the actual points get out,
Hmm.
and just to let you guys know that it was probably already said before we started that podcast that it was going to be controversy.
Yeah.
And I think that's what the mission of that was. And I think we achieved that because it definitely was controversial. It definitely got spicy up there, and it definitely
Spicy, y'all.
made for all the it made for something to go viral. I think that's what his plan was, to try to help his podcast to go viral. So the spiciness of the content, and of course the guests as well. He'll probably mention it a few times in his podcast. But yeah, I think we did it. I think that it is probably gonna go viral once the whole thing drops, if it does drop, when it drops, because it was definitely smoking. It was some fire in that podcast. But
Yeah, y'all.
I'm just glad that I could be a part of it to some degree, and be able to share my experiences when it comes to this right here.
Yeah, definitely. Y'all, it was super spicy. I was there, y'all. I was there, front row, front and center. I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. The stage shaking and everything. I was like, oh my God, this is getting getting a little bit too much. So, but I have always said, I've been on quite a few podcasts. This is my thing, like being up here trying to educate and teach us as women. I don't speak to men, but that has always been a question that has arisen in my inbox. Like, what are my personal views about men paying all the bills and 50-50. And y'all know I've never done the topic in as a whole, but I've always inserted my views and my beliefs inside of podcasts. So just so y'all know, I'm going to set the record straight. I personally do not agree with 50-50. And I have my reasons why, but I have him here so that we can talk about what that looks like and what that can manifest into in a long-term relationship and how it can actually work in the beginning. And then that thing can go to dust toward the end based on the dynamics of how women operate and men operate. So why don't we, one, start there? Like, what? So one, we know that you don't believe in 50-50. Now tell us why you don't believe in 50-50.
Well, when I was asked my opinion on 50-50 before the previous podcast, I stated it very simple. I said that 50-50 is a setup for disaster.
Now, when you say disaster,
a disaster,
what does that look like? What do you see when you say that?
When I speak primarily to young men. I know that they're let me just say this right. Let me start off with this right here. So I want to be clear on my thoughts and what I believe. There are a lot of younger guys in the younger generation. By the way, I'm 48 years old. So
thank you.
Keeping that in mind, I've seen a lot more than some of the people that are in the younger stages of their relationships. I've been through those stages. I've seen what works. I've seen what didn't work. But if you're in that younger stage and you're hearing 50-50, and right now that's where the world is going, this is what we're talking about, equality. And it sounds good. And it sounds like it's practical. Hey, look, I'm doing this, she's doing that, we come together, we split it up, and then it'll all work together. And it seems like that is something that works out. And for some people it does, and I have nothing against people who do it. But for me, I understand certain things based on my experiences as such. There are young men out there who may consider that because that's the popular thing to do.
Yes.
They may consider it because that's what's going on social media. They may consider it because even the state of the women that we're in right now.
Thank you.
Some of the women are at a place where they're demanding certain things because of their high level income.
Yes.
And they don't want to be taken care of.
Yeah.
They don't want to be told what to do.
No.
They don't want to submit. They don't want to have. They want to have a partnership.
Yes.
And somehow or another, we've turned marriages into partnerships.
Okay, so hold on. We got to stop there because this is getting good. So you said the state of our women are today. They don't want to submit. They don't want to be told what to do. What does that mean? Because I know that it is statements like that right there that will be triggering. Like you're right, I don't want to get told what to do. So when you say be told what to do, what does that even mean?
Well, it's simple. I don't want to be told what to do.
Okay.
So I never said there was something wrong with it. I just don't want to be told to do. But there are some women that look for men to guide them.
Yes.
See, here's the thing. Let's just break it down.
Yeah.
If we're gonna talk about relationships, let's assume we're talking about marriages.
Okay.
All right. Let's just assume that we're talking about marriages.
Okay.
And 95% of Black Americans that get married under the same vows.
Okay. We do.
Right?
Yes.
And you know the vows, if we're talking about, most people go by the same vows. Death do us part, sickness and health. Do you give this woman a way to be this? We do the same thing. It's always the same thing. And in those vows, those are covenants. Those are contractual agreements that you agree to each other. And one of those things that happens in that, when that father walks that daughter down the aisle, the pastor, the minister, the priest, he says, "Who giveth this daughter away?" And that man says, "I do." And at that very moment, the authority of the father is passed on to that young man that's standing at the altar. That's what it means. Fact check me if you want to, but that's what it means.
It does mean that.
So that is what I'm basing my argument on.
Okay.
The institution of marriage that most people agree to.
Okay.
If you say that a woman doesn't want to listen, well, then she doesn't want to be a wife. She wants to be a partner, which is something totally different.
Oh, okay.
And that's fine. That's what you want to do. But again, there's a large contingency of men and women
Yeah.
that do want a traditional marriage
Mhm.
and do want to live under the sanctity
Mhm.
of God in their marriage.
Yes. So let me. A lot of people say that, like, I hear it all the time that I want a partnership, and
Hmm.
I especially hear women say that. I
Hmm.
very rarely hear men say I want to be a partner. That's mainly women. But the number two thing, excuse me, that I hear people talk about all the time, especially women, is well, I want it to be equal.
Hmm.
I've heard it said. It was said, when we spoke last week. And why do you feel that equality um, might just not work as far as it relates to
Yeah,
men and
that's
women?
that's real simple because see, here's the thing. I'm a CEO of my company.
Yes.
I've been CEO of other companies.
Mm-hmm.
I've had ownership and been the guy who make the top decisions. Now,
Mm.
in that, you have board members,
Yes.
you have assistants, you have chief operators that
Yes.
help out. You have people, you have a
Yes.
team.
A team. Mm-hmm.
But what I realize is this right here is that there has to be somebody who's taking the full responsibility of that company.
Mm.
When the company goes bankrupt, they're not looking at the CFO.
They're not.
They're not looking at the CCO.
They're not.
They're not looking at the
COO.
CT,
No.
the chief technology officer. They're not looking at anybody but the CEO.
Mm.
He's the one that takes the big risk.
Okay.
And he's the one that takes the big rewards because he is the one that's he's the head of the ship. And guys, you guys know what I'm talking about when we're talking about, let's say, sports. It's football. The quarterback is the one that's getting interviewed.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one that's taking the brunt of the loss, and he's the one that's getting the reward for the victory.
Mm-hmm.
So I say that to say that the reason why I believe that it's important not to go 50-50
Okay.
is because when you go 50-50,
Mm-hmm.
you're in essence asking a woman to take 50% of the responsibility.
No thanks.
Now, if a man is in a position to be a husband,
Okay.
he should be agreeing to be a protector
Okay.
and a provider
Okay.
for his family. That is his role
Okay.
in a traditional sense.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if a man can't protect his family and can't provide for his family, what is he there for? I just really don't know. I don't know another, like, if you're not protecting and providing for your family, what are you there for? Because then in that instance, a
Yeah.
woman can do on her own.
Okay. So, oh man, there's so many thoughts that I have. So, one, to answer your question, I was going to say, which I know is going to bring us down another rabbit trail, which
Hmm.
is why I'm scared to say it. You said, "What is that man there for?"
Hmm.
And I was going to say a word, and you're going to
Go
know if we're
ahead.
going, is help.
Help. Okay.
But that's opposite.
That's a partnership, though.
Right.
So you want
Exactly.
help because you want a partner to help you.
Right. Instead of
And so,
provide,
and then in some challenges say that what I'm talking about, if a man takes 100% of the responsibility financially, then she's not in it for love. That's what's argued. She's not in it for love if she only wants him to be the financial responsibility. But if she only wants him there for half of the financial responsibility, then how is it that she's not in it only for finances? Where's the love in that?
So you said something earlier, which brought me to something that I had spoke to earlier, and you guys know how I feel about this. So one, he said the man is there to provide and to protect, and as the CEO, they take the fault. What did you say the CEO does?
The
He
brunt of the
takes he
responsibility.
takes the brunt of the responsibility. So remember, I'm not. I know you all will remember this when I said that women are not built to be leaders, and the reason why is because we like the glory of leadership, but we don't like the accountability and the responsibility that comes with leadership. Because with leadership comes a whole lot of responsibility, and you have to take accountability for everything that goes wrong, something that most women can barely do. Somebody could say a file got filed wrong, and we're pointing at the next person like, oh, that was their file. We can't even take the blame or take one for the team. It doesn't happen for us. So we want the glory, we want the accolades, we want the, oh, great job. However, when it comes time for us to sink with the ship, we want to jump off and get a lifeboat where they actually have to go down with the ship. They have to take the brunt of the responsibility. So if, God forbid, something happens, and you say this to me all the time, it happens all the time in our household, because here's the reality of it is we practice what we preach. Yes, we make mistakes, we're not perfect, but we practice what we preach. If there is a situation, he talks to me about it all the time. We talk all the time. That's all we do is talk. And I give my opinion. Y'all, that does not mean that he's going to do what I say. Because at the end of the day, he has to make the decision that he's going to be comfortable with the outcome. Because if the outcome goes terribly wrong, he can't say, oh, well, it was because of you. I took your advice. I did what you said. Like, nobody wants to point that blame and shift back at their wife. So he has to make the decision that works best where he sees the family going in a certain way. One of the things that I wanted to bring up was 50-50. There was something that you said for women. You said, arguably, we're not there for love. But you said a word. I think you said 50-50 maxes her out. Can you explain what you meant by that when you said 50-50 maxes the woman out?
And I didn't actually say 50-50 maxes her out, but I will explain to you what I did say.
Okay.
I said that if you ask any woman, what would they be willing to give in a relationship?
That's what you said.
Financially.
Yes.
Most women, especially in this era, would say, well, I'll do 50-50. It'll be a smaller portion, if any, that would just come out off the top and say, I'll be willing to do 60-40.
Me doing a 60?
Yes, women doing 60, guys doing 40. That's probably, listen, I don't care who you are. I don't care how liberal you are. I don't care how equality you are, whatever this new generation thing is. You're not going to say you want to do 60 being the woman and 40 being the guy. You're not going to want to take care of a guy.
I'm carrying.
No one wants to take care of a guy. No woman wants to take care of a guy if she doesn't have to.
She doesn't have to.
Yes.
Now, granted, let's clear this up.
But let me finish. Let me finish because I'm gonna go there.
Okay.
So now, but if you ask the guy, and if he says, what would he be willing to do? Okay, you gotta have guys that say 50-50, but then you're gonna have guys that will go from 50-50. So I'll do it all, and then you'll have guys that say, well, I'll do 80-20, and they'll be comfortable even doing. They'll go from 50-50 being all right, I could do that, to not having a problem doing 60-40 for them, 60 for them, 40 for them, to not even having a problem doing 70, and some will go all the way up to 80, to 100 rather.
Okay.
How many women will say, I am willing to do 100 and let him do nothing? So my point was, if you ask a woman to do 50-50, you're asking her to do the most that she'll be willing to contribute in a relationship. And you'll be asking a guy the minimum of what he'll be willing to contribute.
Come on here.
And giving you an example that we all know so well, if I was selling a car, and I had my bottom number. Let's say the car's worth 20,000. Say 20,000. My bottom. I'm not selling this car for less than 20,000.
Okay.
And let's just say all you have is 20,000.
Okay.
You don't have nothing. You don't even have money to get gas after you buy the car. You barely got money for the insurance. You're buying the car. So me asking you to do 50-50 is asking you to buy the car at the most you're willing to pay for it, and I'm selling the car at the minimum I'll be willing to sell it for, which neither one of us are happy. Neither I didn't make as much money as I wanted, and you spent more money than you really wanted to.
Dang.
So when I say a woman is being asked to max out her contribution financially, because she's not willing to do more. Now, then that poses the next question.
Okay.
So when I said, what do you think most women will be willing to do if asked? 30%.
I would say 70-30.
Yeah, most women will have.
30%.
Most women would say, "Hey, look, I don't mind contributing 30% because 30% is not going to be the biggest part of the responsibility. So if something goes wrong, you can compensate for that 30%.
Yeah,
that means that your household can run on 70% without your 30%. It still becomes extra." And And as long as she knows that her contribution is not a necessity,
Mm.
she's comfortable.
Oh my goodness, that's crazy. I just thought of something. I had got my hair braided and I asked someone to do it. And the thought of doing it for me, being the teacher, stressed her out. Um, just the thought of me wanting her to do it. So somebody else did it. And then she came over to help. And you know what she said?
What?
She said, doing it like this, I'm fine. I'm just, there's no pressure. But when you asked me, I was scared. Like to do all of it,
Yes.
I was scared. She was like, but doing it like this, where it feels like it's my choice, I'm more relaxed and I'm able to do it nicer.
You hit it on the head. When a woman's contribution is a choice versus a necessity,
Ooh,
it's easier for them to make
chills.
that contribution.
Mm-hmm.
And all I'm saying is that I don't want to max my woman out. And that's what I said. I don't want to max her out in that way. I don't want to give her the stress of having to do this. She needs to know that if 1 week she saw something amazing that she wanted to put our son through coding class, and it cost what, $4,000 to do it. She needs to know that, well, you know what? I can do this with my own money without it affecting the household. And I can just go ahead and do it. I don't even have to ask. I don't have to get clearance for that. I can just do it because I know that this 30% is not going to be a big factor in whether this household is being ran.
So that brings me to the next thing that I wanted to, that stuck out to me. Let me ask you, you kind of answered it, but I need you to elaborate a little more. Why you said a statement, your wife can do whatever she wants to do with her money. And you know, we obviously just kick back to that because people don't agree with that. Obviously, if you agree 50-50, that wouldn't make sense. But what just like elaborate on why you have that standpoint in general.
Well, see, and again, I said this already. There's nefarious players on both sides.
Okay.
There's women that have no responsibility and they just do whatever. They're selfish.
Okay.
In their spending. Let's just put it that way.
Yes.
And there's men that are irresponsible in their spending.
Yes.
Let's put it that way.
Yes.
And then there's a contingent of people that fall somewhere in between that are responsible all across the board. So when I say that, when the question was asked, what do you expect your wife to do with her check? I said, whatever the hell she wants to do with it. And the pushback from that was, well, you're just teaching her, or she's just going out doing anything with it and spending it on this and not teaching the kids this and that. Whoa, 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 whoa. And then the first thing I said was, it depends on the woman. Because if you pick a woman that's doing the right thing with her income before you meet her, when you choose a woman that has certain principles and values, and when you realize that you don't just marry anybody, you take the time to see what they're about, then I'm comfortable with her decision making and what she does with her money, no different than she's comfortable with my decision making and what we do with our situation.
Period. Okay. Yes.
So when I said she could do what she want to do with it, meaning that I trust her to do what she feels is best with the portion that I don't need.
And also, too, even to say that, you said what she feels is best, right? When you have a household that has leadership in it, the leadership flows down. So the leadership goes, okay, let's say let's use our kid, right? We have children in the house. Let's use our kid. And he says, listen, I think our son needs to be in more things. I think he needs to not lay around the house, sit around the house. I think so. Now, if I have money and I have extra money, that extra money can go into coding classes, can go into, I was telling you I wanted to put them in sailing classes for the summer, can go into things like that. It doesn't mean I'm going to be clacking my nails and fake lashes and pocketbooks that I don't need, and it just the extremes are not what we're usually speaking to in general. That's an extreme to say that a woman would just take her money and do whatever. Well, if she has a family, I'm pretty sure women are usually family oriented, and their kids usually come before themselves.
Well, you know what I
9
think?
times out of 10.
I think that sometimes people project their experiences on other
Onto
people's
other-
experiences,
Yes.
and sometimes when people can't, they can't imagine somebody being other than what they've seen already.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
true.
and like me, I can't, and that's and that goes for me too. I can't imagine having a wife that would go do something like that.
Right.
I just can't imagine.
Well,
I wouldn't even be in that situation. I don't
Right.
even know what that looks like.
Right.
I don't even know how that would even work.
I don't know either. And I was saying to him one day when we were talking, and I was like, I'm actually appreciative that it's all about vetting the people that you're with. You know what I'm saying? Because when I met him, the first thing, I don't know if he even remembers this, and he probably won't, but I will never forget that he said this. And it's probably one of the things that made me go, okay. But he said, we were out, and he said, as long as I make more money than you, you'll never have to pull your wallet out. We were at Tandoor. It was like our first lunch or something. And I'm going in trying to prove that I'm not a gold digger, trying to just act like I want to help. I don't want to help. Like, I don't want to do it. But, I'm pretending like, okay, let me get my stuff out and pay, even though he asked me to come. And he's like, no, as long as I make my money, you're never going to have to pull your wallet out. And anytime we're out, I never have to pay unless I'm literally begging to pay. Like, no, I'm taking you. I want you to come with.
The last few times we went out, you paid though.
Which one? No. Business paid.
Oh, well.
Remember we was
I didn't pay.
Remember we was in Foxwoods?
I didn't pay.
Business paid. Yeah, you know what I mean? It was free for both of us. You know what I mean? I just pretended,
She was like, I got this.
Like I had something to do with it. No. But, I was explaining to him, like, I don't even know what 50-50 looks like. And I'm going to be honest, I did not grow up in a household like that. I grew up in a household where my mother didn't have to work a day in her life. She has side hustles now. She wasn't home lazy. But my mother was at every track meet. She was at every dance recital. She was at everything because we were the priority and my dad took on, and we had to live within the means of my father's income. That's just how it worked. They didn't try to keep up with the Joneses. They wasn't trying to have all this extra. We had a decent living and us kids had good lives. So I don't know what it's like for a man to be like, nah, well, so the rent about to be, $2,200. So I'm gonna need your $1,100. And the gas is this. I'm gonna need this, and I'm gonna need. I don't. Whoa, that it just wouldn't work for me. Wouldn't know what to do with that.
Let me address the part that I said that I believe is a setup for a disaster. Because what you just mentioned, and partly because of the old views of her parents, is the reason why she is the way she is, and the reason why a guy like me would even be attracted to her. Think about this. If her parents decided to send her mother out to work, who was going to be there raising those kids?
And I wouldn't be
me. TVs, sneaking out, hanging out, doing all kinds of stuff. And she wouldn't be the person that she is today without the direction of her mother raising her. So I say this right here. It's a setup. It's a setup, gentlemen. And the reason why it's a setup, because I'm going to break this down, and this is going to be very unpopular. You guys ready for this? If you want some sound bites or some controversy, here it go right here. So the purpose of a wife, what is the purpose of a wife, gentlemen? Why do you get married? Because you're in love? Well, guess what? How many women have you quote unquote loved before you got engaged or you got married? Are you still in love with them? Are you?
Right.
Maybe? No? Okay, so that means we could get in love and we can get out of love. Just as simple. So love is not the factor of why you get married. You get married because as a man, you're choosing a woman to bear your children and raise them in the image and likeness of you, with your principles and your passions and your mentality. You're using her as a portal to bring into this world and nurture your time machines to take you to the next generations. That's what that's what you're marrying for. And if you don't marry with that type of purpose, you're going to marry a woman because she looks good, which she looks good. Okay. That she has a nice body. Well, okay, we'll leave it at that. But you're going to marry for the wrong reason because of how she and not only that, you're getting married for selfish reasons. Why? Because how she makes you feel. I didn't marry my wife because of how she made me feel. See, love is a feeling, it's an emotion. And the word emotions means a state of being that prepares the body for action, for immediate action, right? So that state of being can change from time to time. So I didn't marry my wife because she made me feel, because the way she looks makes me feel, oh, I love her, this and that. I didn't do that. And that's going to bring us to the other part too. Yeah. I already know it's already in your head. But I married her for the purpose of bearing my children. That is why I married my wife, because I thought that based on her upbringing with two parents in the house, her not being tossed around by a bunch of guys before I got to her, I felt that she was best qualified to represent me and represent me as a father to my children and teach them the ways that I determined.
Right. Well, how you said, I mean, it's a generational thing.
Yeah.
If my mom was home, then she raised us in the likeness of what my father was, which caused us to be this, which will cause our kids to be that. And then it's a generational thing.
And then you ask why the problems we have. Well, first of all, if she didn't have a father, then this whole thing would just be different. Because first of all, there would be no authority to pass over to her husband. Because she was never under the authority of a man. And so when you have these women that say they want a partnership, and they don't want to listen to anybody because they never had to be under the authority of a man. They never had a man telling them what to do. They never had the real love of a man. See, when I'm going to say this, I said this years ago. You could probably go to my Instagram, one of my Instagrams years ago. I'm talking about this is probably like 4 or 5, maybe 6 or 7 years ago. I don't even know. It was 2015, I think. I said, and this is my exact words, I'm going to go out and this isn't a crowd of women. This is on a platform where I was in Atlanta doing a speaking engagement with a platform with about 4,000 or 5,000 women. I said, I'm going to go out on a limb. When a woman is looking for a husband, she's looking for somebody that mirrors her father. If in fact she did have a father, she's looking for somebody who mirrors her father. Why? Because no woman will ever experience the type of love, unconditional type of love that she will experience from her father. And so if she had that in her life, she's looking for that. And without that, what is she looking for? She's looking for a partner. She's looking for somebody that she feels is equal. They're equal. And she doesn't have to submit or have to listen to, or they can talk it out and decide, and she has just as much say as he has. And that's what happens in a relationship with the mothers as they get older. She stays in a mom's house. They have that type of relationship. That doesn't translate over to a marriage. And it's a wake-up call when a woman gets into a marriage with a man that's traditional and says, no, that's not how it goes. And then she starts reading and understanding life and taking the time to educate herself in spirituality and just the way things go as far as covenants and relationships are concerned. Then it's a hard wake-up call. It's a hard truth for her that, you know what? It does say that I should submit, but she's never submitted to any man. No. So it's foreign to her.
It's foreign. Like, what does that even look like to some people? They don't even know.
So again, like, if you love it, if you like it, I love it. I don't have a problem with a woman like that. It's just that's not something that I want. I'd rather have a woman operate in her complete, total softness and her complete, total femininity. That's what I want.
Yeah. Thank you guys for watching. I thank you guys for the support. We just got a comment. I was just telling Mike a couple days ago how dope your parents were growing up and how your household was actually one of the only correct ways I've seen how a correct household is supposed to be growing up as a husband and wife raising a family. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. It says Mike, so I'm assuming this is Alicia. So thank you so much for that. I had another question. One I would like to go back to, because a lot of people think that when you say, it was two things I wanted to go back to. One, you were saying like a woman doesn't want to help. Now, granted, this is where I said, okay, let's clarify that, because a lot of people think like when you have women like this, like if something goes wrong, she wouldn't be willing to step up for a season. Yes. Remember we gave the analogy of the laundry bags and how long would I be able to carry it up? So I want you to expound on that. And then another thing that I thought about is you said, which I knew was a triggering word, just because I know women, is you said, I'm using her to be like the conduit to get my thing through. But in life, the reality, we all are using each other for what we need and what we desire.
And she's using me to get her children.
Right.
Because how about that? More women out there are using guys to get children than anything else. Because they get a kid by a guy, then they leave them.
See, people will argue that the guys believe it, but
no. Hold on, this is Tyrese. What happened to him?
Oh,
the chick he was with 5 years, had a baby, 1 year old. She just decided one day, and had a baby, and just left.
Janet Jackson did it too. The guy put her in that contract. She got $2 billion if she stayed in the marriage for 5 years and had a kid. She had stayed in marriage 5 years, and the kid left the day after.
Took the kid. Tyrese ain't see
$2 billion.
Didn't even see the kid. So again, and I'm sure again, like I said, there's nefarious players on both sides.
Yes.
This is just one example, because I know you got what about when the guy? For every time, and I'm gonna say this to you ladies before I answer the question. I want you to reiterate the question after I say this to you. I'm gonna say this to you ladies. There's something to be said about a woman that cannot hear a guy make a statement about a woman without invoking a guy in that same statement. If I say, well, women do such and such, well guys do it too. Automatically, we already know where you at. You know what I'm saying? We know where you at. And again, if you like it, I love it. You know, that's where you at. But that's a certain type of thought process that you're being defensive to what women are prone to do. And it's okay for me to say, it should be at least to say that women do this without you acknowledge it. Yeah, we do it. And we're not talking about men right now. And if you felt there was a need to bring that up, you could have said, hey, TW, men do this. And I would have to address that. Yes, we do that, or we don't. But to say that, well, women do that too, that's not an argument.
Right.
That's not a conversation.
No.
That's not even a part. It's a debate.
Yeah.
Now reiterate the first part, please.
I forgot.
You said.
What did I say?
I don't know.
What were we talking about?
You asked 2 questions. I was going to stop you at. Okay. I told you I'm getting old.
Listen, me too, clearly, because I don't remember. But I was saying, okay, we were talking about, I said using, so we answered the second one.
Yeah, we asked the second one.
So the first one was, would the woman carrying the laundry bags?
Okay, so one morning, I had an epiphany, and I said, you know what? Think about it like this. Oh, you know what?
No, I was talking about the airport.
No, you was talking about the airport, but then
70-30.
Yes. I don't remember, but you remember that example. I don't remember that. I'm gonna give an example that I remember.
Okay.
All right, so now I have shoulder issues, right?
Yes.
Partly because the way I sleep on my shoulders, like when you get wide shoulders, the guys who work out.
Because welcome to T-Mobile. That's why.
Listen, when you start working out, you get wider, then it's like harder to sleep. You got to get certain accommodations when you sleep. But either way, so I have shoulder issues. So I went to pick up her laundry. We do a laundry service, so I went to go pick it up, and the bag is not that heavy. 7 pounds, maybe not even that heavy. Went to pick it up and I was like, and just for the first time in forever, both of my shoulders was having this issue. So one arm, I couldn't even pick the bag up. The other bag just hurt. And I said to myself, because it dawned on me, I said, these bags are not heavy. I said, and I'm sure that she would go, oh, no problem. I'll get it for you.
Yep.
And I'm like, no. And it's no question that she can pick that bag up.
Right.
But can she pick it up, both bags, get them out the car, walk down the driveway, walk into the house, walk up the steps, walk down the hallway, and bring them all the way to the room and not have an issue? See, initially women, they don't mind carrying a load. But for how long are they going to be able to carry that load without, one, their grip starts to slip, their heart rate starts to increase. They start to get tired. They start to get frustrated because now they got to worry about getting the bags through the hallway without bumping, and their legs. It's a lot to it other than just picking it up. And so when a woman takes on that responsibility in a household, meaning financial, it's okay to do it for a season. But a woman is not built to hold those types of burdens without having effects. And those effects will be stress, losses of sleep, aggravation, being more masculine,
Mm-hmm.
being a lot more
I'm testy.
testy,
Everything is
testy.
bothersome.
Yes,
Mhm.
so there's a conflict in there. Because if I want my wife to be that, then I'm going to continue to allow her to go through stuff and put her in a position where she's carrying loads that she's not used to carrying.
Or not built.
Not built to carry. I say men have
Mhm.
broad shoulders to carry loads. Women have wide hips to carry babies and to nurture. So there's differences in our roles.
Absolutely.
I do not want my wife stressed out over stuff like that.
Right.
Now, there's a bunch of guys that will say, well, I think that, she should carry her own load, and there's some credence to that. If a woman decides that okay, I got a good one. I'm gonna throw a bone out to you guys, because this right here is very controversial. What about the woman that decides that she wants to get a PhD and get all this education and do all these different things and amass about $300,000-$400,000 worth of debt, and then she's talking about she wants to get married? How do you do 50-50 with that? That's a good question.
Yeah.
Because see, the reason why I say that is because that's a trap as well. Because what she did was she gathered up all this information, all this debt, just to get married to a guy that when she actually has a baby, who's going to pay for that debt? And so she's going to have the baby, get back into the workforce in order to service her debt. Now, does a man look at that type of situation and say that's fair? Well, fair is not even a word. We're not going to use the word fair because none of it is fair. It's all relative. To this. Yeah, exactly. But the situation is this right here. When a woman goes through those extremes to get all this education and thinks that that's valuable, that's actually not valuable to a man, because as a man, you should look at that. She's educated. Okay. How much debt does she have? Because you're bringing that debt into your house. Yeah, absolutely. For what? Just so she can decide one day that she don't want to work in that profession, because she wants to raise her kids, which should be her number one priority.
Absolutely.
But in the meantime, before she gets that man, what she's doing is stacking the deck, which she believes in her favor, by getting educated, because she thinks that's going to draw a man. And if it doesn't draw a man, she's going to be financially stable. She can handle her own situation, which again, that puts a man in a situation. And I want to get back to that because I never really finished that.
Okay.
Why is it a setup, man?
Okay.
Because you get what you pay for.
Damn.
You're paying for 50%. If something was 50% off, then there's a reason why it's 50% off. If it looks too good to be true, then that is probably it.
Slightly irregular.
Slightly irregular. So you're
TJ Maxx.
So what I'm saying is this right here. There's a trade-off for 50-50. For that 50, so let's just say the standard is 70-30.
Yeah.
Because somehow or another I was misquoted for saying 100%. Again, we talk numbers. So let's just say the standard is 70-30. Right? If the standard is 70-30, and that 30% that causes her to go, what causes her to go out and earn that 30%, at what degree does that affect her ability to be the woman in the house that you need her to be?
Oh, okay.
I'll say it again.
Yeah.
So let's just say 100%. I'm doing 100%. That means that there's no outside influences or stresses or anything that gets her attention other than what she needs to do as far as her role in this family.
Okay.
So that means that I can ask of her what I need of her in this household, because her number one priority is this. Now, if she goes out and she has a little boutique and she brings whatever, she does that. Okay, let's just say she brings 10% to the table. Okay, she's 10% away from what I need her to do. 10% away from raising the kids, 10% away from keeping the home neat, tidy, whatever, 10% of the way managing the household, because that is a whole job, which most men are not able to do, manage a household. When I say manage a household, knowing when certain things need to be done, knowing how they need to be done, knowing where things go, knowing where to put things at, knowing the schedule of all the children and what their recitals are, when their dentist appointments are. No, that's managing a household.
Yes.
So now, if she's working just as much as I am, meaning that she's working 100% of the time, working 100% of the time, we're both doing the same thing, how can I expect her to still take on that role?
You would have to be a big help.
So then now, so now we're both doing things that we're not accustomed to doing. Or I can do what I'm accustomed to doing, what I'm good at doing, and she could do what she's good at doing. And that right there is a better recipe.
Yeah.
Because you're going to sacrifice something. You're going to sacrifice your children. You're going to sacrifice the relationship, because eventually, like she said, she'll get resentful. She'll get snappy. Yeah. She'll get a certain way because her income is required. She doesn't have the ability to take time off when she wants to. Yeah. Again, I said it before. I said anytime my wife had a job, number one, she's never worked for a man. That's number one. I don't allow that. I don't want my wife working for another man. I don't want a man chasing my wife. Look at her. I don't want, look at her. I'm not, no.
Oh my God.
No. Just no. All day. And that's how your guys got them, your wives got them work husbands and stuff like that. And all that stuff happens because she's in an environment that there's guys. And if she is what she is, there's going to be guys hitting on her. And I understand that. Because I would be the guy hitting on her. I'll be the guy flirting with her. You see what I'm saying? So why would you put her in that situation?
Yeah, because I worked for you.
Absolutely. She worked for me. And that's what I'm saying. So when she was stressed out at her, look, before we even started dating, was we considered dating? No, we wasn't even dating. No, because you was still in your situation. Yeah, I met her at her job somewhere or another. Yeah, and she was getting stressed out over. I said, "Look, quit that. Come work for me." And then once I retired from that, she ended up getting a job with this lady downtown on 9th Square, right? Somewhere. Yeah. She stressed her out. I wrote her resignation letter. Here, give her this. Boom. And then she went somewhere in Woodbridge working with this lady. Doing stuff that she likes to do. Yeah. Doing in the hair, beauty industry, that type of thing. She stressed her out, wrote the letter for that one. Boom. So anytime my wife has been stressed out over some type of work, I made an executive decision to tell her to quit.
Yes, which is why if my job ever stresses me out, I don't tell him, because he's gonna be like, well, quit, don't work there no more. Yeah. And I'll be like, whoa, wasn't that serious? I'm just telling you about my day. But listen, every single time. But I don't want to keep you guys long, but we got a couple things that we wanna, that I need you to get out as well. Just a couple things. One, because it's a piggyback off of this, there was something else that you said. You said there are things that women do and things that men do. And we had some uproar around that. And the reason that I asked that is because you were giving the example just now about household management. Now, you don't even know this, but me, my sister, our friends, people on Facebook, like literally this past week, every woman has been talking about, our kids are going back to school, everybody's going back to school, and the life and the schedules that we have to keep. And I'm like, oh God, we're all got to go to the dentist. This is happening. It's happening to a lot of women, and every woman is kind of like, oh my God, we're overwhelmed, we're a little stressed. This management of these kids and stuff, that is a lot. That is a whole job. People don't realize that that's a whole job.
And then you got the guys watching football and worry about LeBron James and doing all this other stuff when you still have a job to do, even when you get off of work.
Right.
That's the part right there.
Right. Exactly. And that is one of the things that I think that some men don't understand, is that and this is from a woman, when you have a man that's like, well, we got to split everything. And that's, like I said, if it works for you, you like it, we love it. But if we're going to split everything, then that means we are a partnership, because that means everything got to be split equal. You can't have a traditional role in the home at all anymore. That means if I'm not home, you got to do the laundry and the dishes, and you got to cook, because somebody got to do it, because I can't just get home and do everything. I'm gonna be dead.
Let me say. Oh, did you finish your point?
Okay,
because I want to say this, because this is very important too. Let me say this to the gentlemen out there that don't have a choice. I understand that I am accomplished in some ways.
Yes.
I've done very well for myself for a very long time. Matter of fact, I'll tell you this. I've been on my own. I moved out of my house at 15 years old. So I've been taking care of myself for a long time. So for me, it's a no-brainer. If I've been taking care of myself since 15, for somebody to come into my situation, I wouldn't need anybody to assist me with that.
No, you don't need my.
You see what I'm saying? Because I've been doing it by myself since I was 15. I literally moved out
Mhm.
of my mother's house 3 months after I turned 15.
Mhm.
So it's an easy thing for me. And I've
Right.
owned my business since I've been a businessman since 15.
Mhm.
So income for me was never an issue. But for a gentleman that doesn't have the
Luxury.
to do that,
Mhm.
I am not saying that you're less than a man.
Right.
I am not saying that.
Right. That was
I am not
an
saying
excellence.
that.
Right.
What I said was, in order, and I'm going to rephrase it because somebody's going to try to quote me because I don't remember exactly the quote, but I know the understanding and the thought process behind what I was saying
Mhm.
is that if we're talking about traditional husbands, then the capacity of a man is a protector and a provider. And if you ask your wife to bring part of that to the table, you're not operating in full capacity of your manhood
Yes.
in that relationship.
Yes.
I never said you was less than a man.
Right.
No. And there's some people that have to be in that situation because that's the way the state of the economy is right now. And it
Yes.
doesn't allow for one income, especially when you're just starting out.
Yes.
But what I will say is this. She said something that was very interesting. She said that her mother and father chose to live within the means
Mhm.
of his one income.
Mhm.
So now I ask the question, young man. Without her, could you afford your own place?
Mhm.
So that means you can afford it with her then.
Mhm.
That's just my understanding, my thinking.
Mhm.
If you can afford a place without her, then you can afford a place with her. And what I'm saying is this right here, young man. If you believe that there's going to be some type of sacrifice in order to allow your wife to go out into the workforce, whether it's that she will never look at you as, she will always look at you, I'll put it this way, she will always look at you as her equal, which I don't think is a good thing for you, young man, because you cannot have a woman submit to a person that she believes is her equal. Now, you might not, well, I don't want my wife to submit to me. Okay, that's you. But I'm talking in a traditional sense. All right. So if you're asking her to go out into the workforce, then what you're doing is you're sacrificing certain things. You have to ask yourself, are the things that I'm sacrificing worth it? Or can I, being a man that can provide for myself, bring her into a situation and whatever income that she does have, save that for 2 years? Let's just say, hypothetically speaking, when you met me, I was on the beach in West Haven, right?
Mhm.
All right, so I had a condo on the beach in West Haven.
Mhm.
Back then, this is a long time ago. How long ago is this? 15 years,
14,
15 years. The rent was like $1,800,
Mhm.
right? So let's just say 2-bedroom condo right on West Haven Beach,
Mhm.
right? So let's just say I brought you in,
Mhm.
and let's just say you were making pretty good money.
Mhm.
I could maintain my lifestyle with you in there.
Yeah.
The expenses may go up a little bit, but I
Yeah.
can maintain my lifestyle with
Yeah.
you there. So
Yeah.
what if I said, how about this?
I could bring some groceries and stuff in the
Yeah,
house,
stuff like that. But how about I say this? How about, in order for us to do what we want to do, because in order for us to get married, I want a wife that's going to take care of the kids. I want someone who's going to be there to train the kids.
Mhm.
That's what I want. Because again, the purpose for me getting married is to have somebody raise my children in the likeness and understanding of my thought process and my likeness. Okay,
Mhm.
that's what I want. So what if I said, let's save your income for the next 3 years?
Okay.
And let's just say you made $40,000 a year.
Okay.
Which is not a lot,
Mhm.
right? In a course of 3 years, that's $120,000.
Okay.
We got $120,000. So if a COVID situation happens, we don't have to worry about it.
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying? So we're being smart versus going out and say, okay, the mathing, say, well, if you're paying 18 and I'm paying 18, we split it. Now we both paying 9, so it's easier. No. if you're paying 18 and I'm paying 18, why wouldn't you just get rid of your 18 and move into my 18? Now we got an extra 18.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it makes logical sense.
Or in most cases, what most people do, if I'm paying 18, you're paying 18, let's get something bigger, more than 22. We used to pay 18. You're gonna get something for 3, at least 3.
Okay.
You're gonna get something for 3,000. You're gonna upgrade because now what's the point of moving lateral when you're coming together, bringing your incomes together? You're gonna, and that's what people do. So now it becomes a point of utilizing her income to enhance my lifestyle. Because I was at one point living in a place for 1,800. Now I'm living in a place for 3,000, which they look a lot different. Yeah, a whole lot different.
Definitely.
And now I can upgrade. In other words, we're allowing our wives to upgrade us.
Oh.
I know, but it's true. It's true. If you go 50-50 with your wife, then she's just as responsible for upgrading you.
Okay.
So now you can go get that car you wanted because now
you got a little extra.
You got a little extra. Now you can go buy all the little. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And so it becomes you utilizing her income to get the things that you couldn't afford on your own. Yes.
Dang.
Now, not saying no names, but you remember the couple you told me about? The guy, he was cool with you. I don't even want to. I think they broke up. He ended up buying these cars, and he had these nice cars. But outside of that situation, he wasn't buying them cars. He wasn't buying them cars outside that situation. Not even a little bit.
No, he wasn't.
Not even a little bit.
Right.
So for some people, that partnership is exactly what it is. It's a come up. It's a partnership.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. There was okay. I have to get back to a couple of things, right? One, okay, I'm trying to I want to make it cohesive. So one, we'll get back to that. But a lot of women, this was said, not necessarily the other day, but just said in general, that women don't like for the men to pay most of the bills and they want to do the partnership for fear of being taken advantage of. Remember, for the fear of the man dominating them. And then that also brings me to that word that you used, which was superior. A woman wants a man superior. And that was cringy. A lot of people say, oh, it's cringy. I mean, to me, it's not.
Yes, please look that word up. Please. You know what I'm talking about, right?
But I was gonna look up what word that you wanted to look up.
The word that I'm losing. I should have just looked at it before I came. Is hypergamy?
Oh, hypergamy.
Hypergamy.
Yes.
That is what women look for in a man. A woman, most cases, will not go to McDonald's and find a guy on fries and say, I want him to lead me. I want him to be my man. I want to listen to this guy. I want to have babies with this guy. I see the potential in this guy on fries, and I want him to be my person that I submit to, whether it be physically, sexually, or spiritually. A woman has to submit to a man at some point, unless you're the guy that got your hips in the air, unless she got your hips in the air, which again, that's what you do. That's what you do. But at some point, a woman has to submit to a man.
In some degree.
And to some degree.
Yes.
Unless you're the guy that like to have your hips in the air. I don't know. It's not me. You know what I'm saying? I like crazy. But anyway.
That's crazy.
So my point is this right here. She's going to look for somebody that she feels comfortable allowing him to go into her, to lead her, to teach her, to educate her, and bring her to the level that she's not able to do on her own.
Okay.
So most women are looking for a guy that's superior than they are. You don't want to hear, okay?
Because remember, we had to look that word up.
Superior,
remember?
I already know what the word is.
Higher in rank, status, or quality.
Yeah, but so let me just get to the real nitty gritty, because now I feel like I want to start some controversy now.
Okay, let's start.
I'm gonna start some controversy now, because that same woman that doesn't want to submits to her boss every single day. That same woman that don't want to listen, don't need no man. That same woman, when somebody breaks into her house, she's calling a man a cop. That same person that don't need no man is when her car breaks down, she's calling a roadside assistant, and 99% of the time, it's a man showing up. You see what I'm saying? So when we talk about we don't need no man, you utilize men every day. You listen to men every day. You submit to men every day. You go to court, you submit to a man. You're in a job interview, you're submitting to a man. In most cases. But somehow or another, it becomes foreign. It becomes taboo to choose a man to submit to. Think about what I just said. You have the opportunity to choose who you would rather submit to, and you're saying that's a problem versus being chosen to submit to. Your boss chooses you. You don't just say, I'm going to work for you. Right. He says, you know what? I'm going to hire you. And when I hire you, I'm expecting you to do what I ask you to do.
Yeah, this is the part for me. This is the part for me, right? Is when you get hired, you have a contract, you sign duties, responsibilities, you sign off on all of that. This is what my mandate to do here is, right? And in business, for whatever reasons, businesses be around for forever because they do principles that work, right? When there is a business, there is always somebody that's in charge at the top of the food chain, and then it goes down, and it doesn't mean that because they're the top of the food chain that they're going to treat you any kind of way. I work for a woman, and my boss, I can't even call her my boss because she calls me her friend, because she calls me for everything when she needs to talk about something. There is no dominance there. But at day's end, when there is a decision that needs to be made, I can exert my opinion all day. It does not mean that she's going to do it. She has to go with the company as a whole, in general.
I'm about to expose you right now.
Because
that's one of the last times we got into it, and we were having a conversation, and you kept cutting me off. And I was like, see, that right there, that's a problem. That is a problem. Like, you just can't help yourself. It was one of them things.
Yeah.
And then I said, no, then you said, well, I can't have my own opinion. And exactly what I said to you was this. Yes, you can have your own opinion.
Yes.
But I said your opinion is valid when it's asked for. Under certain circumstances, your opinion is valid. But now, and so you push back a little bit. So then I said, well, what about your job? I said, no, you said, well, even in my job, my opinion is such and such and such. I said, okay, let's use that. I said, but if you gave your opinion,
right,
and she said, okay, that's great, but I didn't ask for your opinion, what are you going to say then?
Probably nothing.
Nothing, because you can't say nothing, because at the end of the day, your opinion is your opinion.
Right.
And it doesn't matter unless it's asked for,
right,
unless it's solicited.
Right.
That's the only time your opinion is valid.
Right.
Now, in a healthy relationship,
right,
under the circumstances of us not arguing or going back and forth,
exactly,
your opinion is valid in most cases.
Right. Exactly.
It's valid in most cases.
Yep.
But now we're not going to go back and forth. We're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. Nah, that's not what we're going to do.
Right.
We're going to talk, and I'm going to get my point across, and then we're going to go from there. But you cutting me off to tell me how you feel or just do that, that's not going to work. That's not going to work, because it's a recipe for disaster. And that's what I'm saying, gentlemen. When you're in a situation, women and men are so much different that a woman will start to build up momentum. And if she doesn't respect you at a certain level, she'll start pushing that line, eventually pushing it over and over. And because you're in an equal situation, you have no authority to push back. Her opinion, what she says, is just as valid as yours. So now you're at a standstill. And a gentleman the other day said that he allowed his wife to do things, and then it came back, it nipped him in the butt. And he could have stopped that by saying, no, we're not going to do this. So sometimes, again, you have to just realize, and this is what I said to you. I said, either I am that guy or I'm not. Right. If I'm the guy, then allow me to be the guy. If I'm not the guy, then I'll go do something else. Either I am or I'm not. Either I'm the guy you chose to lead you, or I'm not. Either I'm the guy that made the right decisions and you vetted me correctly and say, this is the guy that I chose to lead me, or I am not.
Right.
That don't change. Now, if I do something to change that, then that's another conversation.
Mm-hmm.
If I show forth that I'm not learning, I'm not growing, I'm not evolving, I'm not continually learning new things and changing old habits, shedding different things that I from my youth. If I'm not doing those things, then okay, that's fine. But if you see me out here busting my ass to be a better person every single day, and that, but all of a sudden you just feel that you want to, no, we can't do that. Because I haven't done anything to relinquish that position in your life. And if I have, let me know.
Right. Exactly. Yep. Yeah, exactly. But that's why I even use the example, because like I said, is people don't like, the only way that things actually really work efficiently is if there is somebody that is in the position to begin or stop things in general. Like there has to be somebody in the position. There's no way, even in a business partnership, there's usually a percentage. It's very rare that it's like, even if it's 50-50, it's usually my 50 does this and your 50 does that. It's not 50-50 equal. You know what I'm saying? It's 50-50 different. What you're good at, I'm not. What I'm not good at, you are. And then people build partnerships and business from there.
Let's talk about that. Because I've been in partnerships where I brought the money, somebody brought the credit, and other people brought the ideas. I've been in a situation where I brought the skills, somebody else brought the money, and somebody brought this. I've been in a situation where it's all down the board. So when we say when they say 50-50 the bills, that doesn't mean that they're not. If I, let's just say hypothetically, I did 100% of all the bills. Well, that doesn't mean she's contributing zero. It just means that she's contributing zero in that particular area.
Gotcha.
And so I may need 100% from her in something totally different.
Right. And that's the part. That's the part.
So just because she's not paying half the bills don't mean she's sitting around doing nothing.
Right. Exactly.
But whatever she's going to do is going to be to the level of stress that she's able to handle.
Got it. Yep. Yep. So I think I wanted to bring up that word dominance, because with the word superior, the word dominance was also like it's dominant.
And I said real simple. And you, again, I'm an oracle, so I know what words mean. You can be superior and not dominate.
Right.
I'm superior.
Well, that's why I want the clarity.
I'm superior than some people, and I don't mean I dominate them. And superior is not a bad thing. It's just something to look up to. It's something to say, hey, this guy has, look, I can be superior than you because I read 2 more chapters in a book than you did. That means I know a little bit more than you.
Yeah.
I could be superior than you just because I'm 2 years older and I have 2 years more experience in one particular area. And just because I'm superior in this position don't mean I'm superior in that position. Because as I said before, there's some things that I convert with you and I defer to you for when it comes to certain things.
Definitely.
And that is the balance that I chose. Young man, let me say this to you. When I was on the path of choosing my wife, I had to figure out what I was good at and what I knew that I can handle on my own. And I tried to find a woman that added a component that I didn't have. She had a spiritual side to her, a metaphysical side to her that I admired. She was able to do things in that area that I wasn't able. Now I was spiritual. I was in my church doing my thing. I had one of the highest positions in my church for a long time. So, and I was a teacher. And matter of fact, to say that somebody made a statement to say that I can't do what they do. By the way, I served in a corrections facility for 10 years, by the way.
Right. Yeah.
In Cheshire.
Yeah.
In Cheshire.
Right.
Big Cheshire, not little Cheshire. And I volunteered in Cyborski as well. And then I even did the women's jail up in Niantic. So to say that I can't do, but I digress. You know what I'm saying? Because people just don't know. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, 10 years in Cheshire, but that's a whole nother story. But I say that, so what was I saying?
You were saying that there was a metaphysical side.
Oh, yeah.
You were in church, you were spiritual.
Yes, again, and while I'm doing all this and I'm handling, it was mainly a men's thing that I was dealing with because I was in those prisons and stuff like that. So she had a softer side to her, a different viewpoint on the evolving soul, so to speak.
Mhm.
And no matter what, I always was drawn to that.
Mhm.
Even as a young man, when I went out and chased other things, I always knew that she had a foundation that I wanted to always get back to.
Mhm.
And that was the anchor of our relationship.
Yes.
That right there was the anchor, because no matter where I went, no matter who I dealt with, that was a piece that I always was missing. And that was so much different. It was just different because I couldn't find that anywhere. So it's like one of those things, young man, when you find somebody that has something that you can't get everywhere else, you always find yourself drawn back to it.
Mm.
So what I needed from her was for her to be in those meditative states,
Mhm.
those fasted states,
Mhm.
those evolving states. I needed her to be in that, and that wouldn't happen by her working at Yale in the ER department.
No, I can't.
You see what I'm saying? That's what I needed for her, because that completed me.
You're right.
That gave me and I believe I'm the man that I am today because she challenged me to be more of that.
Mhm.
Now, yeah, I knew the Bible, I knew the scriptures, I knew all the philosophy books, I read all of them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it was a part that I didn't have that I needed that I needed her to galvanate in me.
Mhm.
And that right there was why I married her, because I knew that when we put these two things together, it's unstoppable.
Absolutely. And I mean, and here's the thing, you guys know I'm 100% transparent on my thing. You know, he can tell stories. It doesn't matter to me because I feel like everything is for people's help and admonition, and it can help somebody else get through it. If you act like your relationship's perfect and you didn't go through stuff, then what do they need to listen to you for? Like, if we never went through anything, we can't tell nobody nothing. Okay. So for the people that always try to bring up what our past was or his past was, he says it all the time. I mean, I've authored 9 books, and about 4 of them have our story lined all up in it. It's not a secret that we've had ups, we've had downs, we've had separations for years. And he was doing his own thing. And I was home, guess what? Still trying to work on that metaphysical side that probably brought him back to this day. So it depends on, your relationship. But at day's end, we're not trying to tell you that you have to have your relationship a certain way or that this is the only way that works. But for somebody, I mean, honestly, you might want to even not, he's tried it a couple other ways in general. And as an older person, somebody wiser, experienced, you know what it's like to have done it another way.
Let me say this right here. So remember, going back to that, you said that it was a question you asked, that a woman wants to go 50-50 because she believes that in a different situation, the man will dominate her or take advantage of her. Okay, watch this right here. I'm 19 years old.
Yeah.
I'm dating a 29-year-old.
Period.
I was being taken advantage of in the sense of because she had leverage in the situation.
Okay.
I had just bought a Forerunner.
Mm-hmm.
It got repossessed because I couldn't keep up with the insurance. Mm-hmm. I actually sent the money down.
Take your car when you don't get insurance.
Look, I couldn't keep up with the insurance. My insurance was like $700 a month, and this was back in 1995 or 1994, something like that. Mm-hmm. So I sent money down south for one of my boys' moms to actually get insurance down, and she never got it. Mm-hmm. And then I just had no insurance, and I ended up getting the car getting repossessed, and it was just a bad situation. Yeah. So when she came along, she had a car.
Okay.
And I started using the car.
Okay.
She used that situation.
Yes.
To manipulate me. Mm-hmm. And every time something didn't go her way, I'm gonna drop you off. Mm. And it was just like, now, by the way, it was a nice car. It was a real nice car. So at 19, you don't want to lose that. So you kind of like bend to this type of tyranny just so you can keep the situation. Mm-hmm. Until I got to the point where I said, you know what? I don't negotiate with terrorists. Mm-hmm. And I don't care what she takes and what she does. I'm not going to subject myself to that. Mm-hmm. So I say all that to say, and not to be one of those guys, but the same fear that you have that men might do, women do it all the time.
I was going to say that. I was going to say, to be 100% honest, the reason that women are afraid of it is because when we have that.
Absolutely.
See, here's the thing. We get excited. I can't stand this. I'm just going to put this out here when women be like, I got my own crib. I pay my own bills. I got my, sweetie, that is basic adulting. That is not boss moves. The fact that we think that it's boss moves tells me one thing and one thing only undercurrently is that we don't think it's normal. Because to say I got my own house, I got my own car, I could take care of myself. Yeah, because adults do that. But the fact that we would brag on that and yell it from the rooftop says that at a very deep core level, we don't think it's natural.
But let me ask you this right here, women. Let me ask you women this. And I get it. It's a different society. It's a different thing going on now. But wouldn't it be a bigger flex for a woman to say that I've made good decisions as a youth? I didn't go bang a bunch of guys, and I kept myself out of all the chaos. And I listened to my parents, and when they told me, I listened to auntie when they told me not to do this, not to do that. And I found a guy that was willing to invest in my future and have my children with me because I chose to make the right decisions. And so I don't have to go through that whole process. Wouldn't that be a bigger flex to say that you did the right thing and then some guy decided, whoa, this is special. This is unique. I can't find this nowhere else. What me, them bosses, them D, they out there all, they're like the D bus. They come through every 15 minutes.
Literally.
They're all out there.
Yeah.
But a woman who's made it a choice to not get ran through by the football team, to not have a bunch of scandals and all this other stuff and keep herself and listen to her parents and do all that stuff and not have 5 different baby daddies, wouldn't that be something that is more coveted than a woman that got 3 baby daddies and now she telling me she's a boss? I mean, wouldn't that be a bigger flex?
I would imagine. I mean, you know, but nowadays, the way that our society is, for whatever reason, women have taken on the idea that that is what men want. And
no, but you know what? That's what women want from men.
Yes.
And so that they're doing is they're taking the attributes that they want in a man and becoming that.
Yeah.
And thinking that men are going to be attracted to him. Now, the men that are attracted to it, those are the guys you got to watch out for.
Right, because those are the ones that will take advantage of that. And that's what I mean when I say that when women have that stature, it's very rare that there's a man that'll be like, y'all get in an argument and a man be like, go sleep on the couch. Like, you don't hear men say that. You don't hear men go, you're not getting in this bed tonight. Last I checked, I paid for the bed. So I'm getting in bed tonight. I think those things are asinine. They're like, it's just erroneous to me. But women will flex all the time. The more power that we have, the more we utilize it in the wrong way. The more, dare I say, abuse it.
Well, someone who's not used to having power will abuse it.
And that's why I mean, like, men, you don't hear men saying, I got my own house, I got my own crib, because that would sound dumb.
It's normal.
It sounds normal.
It should be, at least.
So when men have these things and they take a woman in, they usually don't abuse that power because they're used to having it in life.
And if they do abuse it, you chose the wrong guy. And you should see that in your dealings with him.
Yeah, because the thing of it is women, we have to take accountability of the fact that we usually don't choose the right guy, because whatever you're dealing with in a relationship, the signs, the things were there before you decided to embark farther. They were always there. No guy wakes up and changes exactly who he is. It was always there in the beginning. We make bad decisions, and then we cower from the consequences of those decisions because we're just not good at it. Mm-hmm. We're not good at decision making, one. And then 2, we can't take accountability for the decisions. Hence why we shouldn't be the leaders, y'all.
Well, this is your platform, so I'm not going to disagree with you, but that's very controversial because I know there's a bunch of women that's going to be like, I make good decisions, I do this and I do that. So out of the women that are saying they make good decisions, how many baby daddies you got?
Right, exactly.
I'm just asking. Mm-hmm. I'm asking for a friend.
Right. Because we all feel like we do.
Yeah.
And it usually doesn't work like that. But anyway, I don't want to get off because, my show will be controversial anyway, but Did you have anything else that you wanted to add? Because we don't want to keep them on that. We have them at 1 hour and 22 minutes now. Is there anything else? I feel like
Yeah, no,
you expounded and
I mean,
we were able to
at the
get
end of
a
the day,
good.
there's no way to really get all the points out because it's all dimensional. What I will say is this
It's
right
all
here.
dimensional, yes.
What I will say is right, nothing works for everybody.
Right.
And you
Nothing's
can't.
for people.
Oh, I want to say this right here. This is an issue that I did have. I had an issue with having the task of speaking in general to the
Mm-hmm.
masses when I don't live the life of the masses.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I say something that is in general is being contested, but again, I'm no
I don't
expert in
know
the
it.
general sense because I can only speak to myself.
Right.
So myself, how it worked for me, this works for me. Like listen, I live a great life.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy. I go to bed every night with a clear conscience, knowing I didn't have to do no sucker shit to get where I'm at in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good with that. You know what I'm saying? I made decisions and I stand by. Some of them good, some of them not so good. But at the end of the day, I took responsibility and the consequences of everything that I did.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I made
Absolutely.
right with most of the things that I did wrong. Because
Mm-hmm.
that's just the type of guy I am. But what I will say is to the young men is that the whole point of my conversation is personal responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Take that personal responsibility. Wouldn't it be an amazing thing to give your wife, the woman you love, the one that you want to bear your children and raise your children in the image and likeness of you, the opportunity to just do that?
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't that be amazing, young man? To give her the opportunity where you don't have to have her out there getting chased around her desk by the boss. Watch this right here. You know, it's a hard fact that most men don't realize. Women have high level cushy jobs. Let's just say, for instance, your wife might work at a law office
Mm-hmm.
as a clerk or a paralegal or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Get paid good money.
Mm-hmm.
But she's around real bosses, real white men, some black, that are in powerful position, that's getting respect from other men, got cashing big checks, driving nice cars. She's around that every day. Every day. And then if she's not engaging in any type of relationship or any type of funny business, she's seeing how he interacts with his women. She's probably the person that, hey, look, I need you to send this woman this gift basket. But she's probably doing those things for him. Then she comes home to a guy. And it's nothing against you hardworking gentlemen. Because like I said, I respect all you. You guys make it possible for us to do all the things we do. All right. So that's making 40, 50,000, working his ass off, coming home with dirty nails, and he come home tired, can't do nothing but just go to sleep and get in the tub, eat, go to sleep and get back out there. Eventually, she's gonna look at you different because she has an image of what she respects. Because again, that man is telling her what to do.
I'm gonna expound upon that just a little bit, because it's not the job that he has. It's the fact that women only have room to submit to one man in their life. We only have room to submit to one guy. That's why when you have a dad, like my dad can't tell me what to do now. Like, you know what I mean? It just, you don't have the room.
Or you not my father, that type of thing.
Right. Like, you know what I mean? So we don't have the capacity. So it's not that we're not looking at him with respect. It's just it's too late now. We already respect this guy. We're already listening to this guy. We're already taking orders from this guy. We can't come home and take orders from you too. At this point, that's too many orders. I'm confused. I don't know what I'm doing.
And again, these are the traps that most men that are looking to go into a 50-50 have to at least account for. These are the things. Now, that's insight right there, gentlemen. And again, the people that's doing 50-50, you might have a hell of a run. It might be good. It might last, and it might work for you, depending on the person. But depending on who you are and what you're actually looking for, your goal is to have a good family structure and not have the streets or a society raise your children, and be able to put them in the best possible situation to succeed. And I think a family structure where the woman does not have to leave that house when it's not required for her to leave, when she can be there for these kids when they get home from school, to have your kids home, latchkey kids for numerous amount of hours in a day. It's no good.
It's only trouble.
It's only trouble. It's a recipe for disaster, like I said. Yeah. And that's my whole standpoint. It's so many other components, elements, variables that come into it, other than just being able to afford living in a house and buying 2 cars and stuff like that.
Right.
So
Yeah.
those are things you got to consider. Me, I did the consideration already. I looked at it already. I went through the processes and said, okay, this works, this doesn't work. Does this work for me? Some guys say, look, I don't want the responsibility of a whole nother person. And I just say, I don't think that man should be married. If you don't want the responsibility, because that's what marriage is, responsibility. You're taking on the responsibility of another human being, creating human beings that you're responsible for. So if a man can't do that, then I don't think personally that he should even consider marriage. Get into a partnership, get into some type of union, which is a partnership where you say, hey, look, this is what we're doing. I'm going to do this, you do that. And then guess what? When she wants to have sex with you, she will.
Well, here's the thing. A lot of people will argue that especially even men now will argue, well, we get, where's love and all that? You know what? Love is somewhere else, because everybody loves everybody that they're with, married, past relationships. But the fact of the matter is love does not make a marriage go around. Love does not continue a relationship. What continues a relationship is the work and the agreements and the communication that y'all have to work together cohesively as a unit. They're like, oh, well, it's if she wants you for money, then it's not love. Yeah, it actually is, because women fall in love under the idea of provision. That's how we fall in love. We don't fall in love because we look at a guy and say, oh, he's hot. Like, that's not how it works. We fall in love based on the things that he starts to do for us.
Think about it like this. Remember, chivalry? Remember buying flowers?
Mm-hmm.
Remember we used to do stuff like that, take her nice places. Mm-hmm. Remember before, to get a girl, you had to do things like that. Mm-hmm. And it was the man that was able to do things that touched her heart. It was the man to do things for her to believe that this is what life is going to be like with him. You have to put out in order to get in return. Mm-hmm. There's no way. There's no under a broken situation where that woman is broken in some kind of way, mm-hmm. that's the only way you'll be able to get something intimate from her without first putting something out. Mm-hmm. There's no way. There's no way a woman that has no trauma, that's under her right state of mind, is going to give you something that's as valuable as herself without you giving something first. You're going to have to give something. I'm not necessarily talking about money. It could be time. It could be attention. It could be knowledge. It could be information. It could be a whole lot of things. But then a lot of times a woman will not make that commitment until she can see herself with this person, and that person can provide provisions for her moving forward. Mm-hmm. It's conditions. Women love men based on the conditions they are put in.
I think it was somebody that said, I don't know what I was listening to, but I was telling you that I was having a conversation with, I think, my brother, and he said that women don't even submit to men. Women submit to the conditions that a man places her in. Mm-hmm. Like you're not even trying to submit to the guy. You're submitting to the conditions that he's putting you in, because women be like, listen, you guys know I say that women leave when you're unhappy all the time. So the men that say they're marrying for love, mm-hmm. and the women that say they're marrying for love fades daily. How you feel about somebody today could be different based on emotions, based on what you're going through, based on internal compasses. There's a lot of things that go into love, and especially for women. Like we like this mm-hmm. all the time. So, but when a man puts you in a certain position, when that happiness goes away for the day, there's still other things to think twice about. Like, whoa, wait. Okay.
But you know what? Let me just say this right here. And I think I'm going to hit the nail on the head with this one. I'm going to end my thought with this. I think that the majority of the younger generation is getting into relationships with the idea of what if it don't work?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because a woman will, I want to have my own, because I heard that. Well, what if something happens and if it don't work, or he gets sick, or some people say the get sick part, but I believe the majority is, if he decides that he doesn't want to be with me, no, I'll give you one even better. If he decides he doesn't want to deal with this attitude, then I can go do something else. Right. So I need my provision. I need to be able to provide for myself so that it'll be an easy decision for me to walk away if he's not tolerant of who I am. Because most women are take me as I am type. situation where they don't see that there's a need for personal growth. I was with a woman, and I told you this all the time. The main reason why that I knew I would never be with her, because she was not committed to personal growth.
Mm-hmm.
She thought she was that shit. She thought she was that already.
Right. So
she already thought there was no room for growth.
Right.
There's no room. So if there's no room for growth, then there's no need for me to be in that situation, because I'm all about growth. If I can't show you, teach you, and bring you to another level, then if you're already there, then what do you need me for? You don't. And I just choose to be in a situation where I'm needed, because you can get the most out of me.
Yeah, that's right. That's the truth. And, I think we're going to probably end there, and that's the crazy part. It's just crazy to me that people, will assume and just it's literally just the unknown of, I want to use the word ignorance. I'm just going to use this, my show. The ignorance of people and thought processes and what they assume people are like and what they do based off of one interaction, and it's unfortunate, it's daunting, but to say the least, I thank you guys for tuning in. I thank you for watching. All of you guys, I hope you get a chance to watch this replay and get some of the good nuggets that were shared today. And with that being said, we are going to log off. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you. And hopefully I will see you very soon. Bye-bye.